It's very interesting that a person will leave the course with a technique that they completely understand. And they build up each case just as we tell you to here, and that is to lead with the high frequency. And when you have determined the patron's working point and the skin reaction based upon the high frequency only, you then add the galvanic current after determining how many seconds you're in the follicle. Now, this is the way you're taught to do it. But the funny thing happens. You work a while, you seem to just start out with both currents together. You get the patron on the table, you put the needle in the follicle, and then you step on the high frequency and the galvanic, and you get your settings all set right in the beginning. And you work along a little while, and the patron's complaining of too much pain. The first thing you do is reach over and turn down the high frequency. Now you're going at a slower technique, and you're still having a great deal of pain. And this comes about because you start with both currents at the same time. And the minute the patient mentions pain, you automatically think about high frequency, and you turn down the high frequency. Now, this is a problem which goes on and on and on and on. Someplace along the line, you end up doing this exact thing. And it's from overconfidence, I suppose. That's why I tell most groups of students going through here, whenever you're in trouble, always go back, turn on the high frequency only. Go back using just high frequency. Do not step on the galvanic, but just step on the high frequency and say to the patient, do you feel anything now? Now, this is a patient who just complained that it was hurting too much, or you were having trouble getting the hair out. Whenever this situation arrives, turn off the galvanic. Don't use any galvanic, but just the high frequency. And then ask the patron if they feel anything. 10 chances to 1, the patron will say, no, they don't feel anything. Now, this is the reason why you're not getting the hairs to release. If you advance your high frequency up to the point where the patron feels it, try to establish your working point again with high frequency only, and then when you've reached that point, then and only then add your galvanic. Now, here is a typical way that a girl will get into trouble. She's away from the school for a year or so. She gets used to starting with both currents on together. And then she suddenly is asked to take over a whole batch of new people. Not her regular customers, but new people. She was very much concerned about over-treating the new people. She's scared a little bit. So she starts with the high frequency extra low, because she doesn't want to hurt anybody. But she wants to kill hair, so she puts the galvanic a little high. She's in the follicle twice as long as she should be. Patron doesn't notice too much, but the skin turns white around the needle. Remember, there is no safety in going extra low and extra long. Some of the worst blanching and some of the worst scarring has been done using a very low current for a very long time. This is why I tell you to reach the working point with high frequency only and be sure the patron is feeling it. You can work with the setting so low and all the patron feels is a nice amount of heat. And as a result, you invert the pattern. You don't have enough high frequency on the needle to drive the action down around the tip. So instead of the high frequency pattern starting down here, the high frequency pattern starts up here, and you get a little wedge up here. So all of the destruction is being done at the skin level, at the epidermis level, and nothing is happening down here below. Now, if any of you had a chance to work with the beef and the egg, I hope that you discover that for yourself. I have it in the book. I've illustrated it. You can demonstrate it to yourself. If you really knew and understood this, you'd realize why you cannot use a very low setting for a very long time on high frequency. Now, sometimes the patrons will say, gee, this hurts more than the other girl did. But it's your galvanic that's being felt. See, galvanic current hurts too. How many of you remember back many, many months ago when you were working with galvanic current the first time? Did you say it was a happy kind of feeling? It hurt, didn't it? Matter of fact, it hurt a great deal. But when you get over to the blend, you get the idea all of a sudden that the galvanic is painless. Why is that? So, the combination of the two currents is effective when you apply them in a certain way. Now, if you apply the galvanic current first, you may find that it will take about 2 or 3 seconds before the pain registers at its height. There is a more or less built-in delay to the body's feeling the galvanic. It could be this helps us in the action of the high frequency. So that when we turn the high frequency on, the high frequency starts almost immediately to give you some kind of a sensation, whereas the galvanic normally has a delay. So we can help it even more by leading with the high frequency. So the high frequency we can start here, and it goes up to its pain level, and it then comes along rather steady, and the galvanic then, which is going perhaps this way underneath it, isn't even being felt. Now, this business is one of playing games with the patient's nervous system. Now, when you step on both foot switches at the same time, you are going to get a slight delay in the galvanic. That gives your high frequency a chance to get going instantly, because the minute you step on the foot switch and your yellow light comes on, it instantly is high frequency, so action is taking place. But when you step on your galvanic, even though the green light lights instantly, the meter doesn't come up instantly. The meter comes up slowly. That means that you're cooking with the high frequency before the electrolysis action gets started. Now, if you're working in certain areas and you have started out as you should with high frequency only, and the patron says, well, that's fine, it doesn't hurt too much, and then you add the galvanic, the patient should not feel any more pain when you step on the galvanic than she did when you were stepping on the high frequency alone. If she does feel more pain, step on the high frequency first, and then a second later step on the galvanic. Then the galvanic will take another second to build up, so you'll have 2 seconds of high frequency before the galvanic gets started. See if she feels that. If she still feels that, then delay even further. In other words, give the high frequency for 2 seconds and then step on the galvanic and see what happens. This is a way of knowing, is the galvanic hurting or is the high frequency hurting? Which one is the patient sensitive to? Now, for some types of body case, you may find the patient can tolerate the high frequency by itself, but when you get the galvanic in too early, she doesn't take the combination. In this particular case, you'll have to decide how long after the high frequency is on or off must you add the galvanic. And the reason, of course, for this technique is because you're trying to take advantage of the high frequency's action in anesthetizing or partially destroying the nerve endings before the galvanic is put into the follicle.